Vicki Pollack, I have got to start with your woman-owned story. How did you become the powerhouse entrepreneur that you are today? Where did it all start? Take me back.
So funny. I don't know if this ever comes up for any other people that you talk to or interview, but you say powerhouse entrepreneur, and I'm like, am I? You know, is she talking to me?
Always.
Yeah, she's talking to me. Okay, she's
That's right.
talking to me.
Wait.
Yeah, who is she talking to? Okay, so my woman-owned story. I feel like I have a little bit of a funky ride, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So first of all, I think it's important everybody knows that I was born and raised in New York, and I feel like there's a part of a New Yorker that's like forever meant to be in sales. I've got that like New York edge that like lives inside of me, right?
That is so astute and so true.
Yes,
That is so astute and so true.
yes, just to
It's
survive
that
here.
confidence, right? Exactly. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
you guys have been kicking ass and taking names from birth.
quite literally from birth. So it's
Yeah.
not a shock to anyone. My entire story centers around like a sales career that I loved and I really thrived in. And if you ask my mother, I've been selling people since I was 7 years old. So I fast forward to I went to Syracuse University for communications. I got a degree in communications, which I always said for me and the type of communications I went into qualified me for everything and nothing all at the same time. And I left
You know
college.
what? I have to pause you there because I studied journalism in my second degree, and I agree. It's like when you really study the discipline of effective communication, it's like this diffuse, it's a powerful diffuse skill. You know what I mean? That can be applied all over the place, and you're like, now what? It's
Right.
not, you know,
Right. I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you. At the tune of 52 grand a year. I'm like, what am I doing with this? Do you know what I mean? And my sister always knew she wanted to be a teacher. She was like, I'm going to be a teacher. That's what I'm going to go to school for. And so I had that shadow to live inside of. And I'm like, okay, but what does one do with a communications degree? So what did I do? I left college and got my first sales job at Enterprise Rent a Car. And Enterprise Rent a Car is the best sales training, like beginner program
yes.
ever, right? So do they have the same kind of reputation in Canada?
No, is Enterprise were number two? Is that one of the iconic car rental companies? Like they nailed their positioning, which is number two. I don't know if it's Enterprise, but one of them. And so that's no, I don't think they necessarily do. But I'm just it's making like what you said, guys. I know Vicky, by the way, more than I know most of the people that I interview on the podcast. So as you were saying that, it sort of clicks into place because I think selling actual stuff. Like a lot of times, these companies where they have they're national in scope, they have really entrenched sales programs, they often provide such fantastic training grounds for people.
Truly,
Yeah.
truly. And Enterprise here, at least, is known for Enterprise's tagline is Enterprise will pick you up. So that's their tagline. They're
Yeah.
not the number two. I have no
No,
idea.
they're not the number
They're
two.
not the
I
number.
don't know who that is. Maybe Avis. I'm not sure.
Maybe a competitor,
Maybe.
but my
Yeah.
Enterprise Rent a Car lives in my heart in a way that's like abnormal. Like I have so much gratitude to that company and my journey there because it really opened my whole world to seeing that I had a skill and a talent inside of selling because enterprise you have to sell people like the insurance, how you walk around the car and
Yes. Yes.
you're like, if you get T-boned tomorrow, if you buy this insurance, you can walk away scot-free. Like that kind of sales. Now that I believe, I mean, now it gives me such ick that I used to do stuff like that. But it really does lay a foundation of a skill set that you can carry anywhere inside of any sales job. And it gave me a confidence to know that I could really do it. I actually worked my way up that ladder to become one of the youngest female branch managers in the Northeast for Enterprise. And I worked there for, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years. And then after that, I got recruited into pharmaceutical sales and talk about golden handcuffs. They moved me into Manhattan. They paid for my first move into the city. I was there, and then a year later, I got laid off because those jobs are very volatile. I mean, if they cut the drug that you're repping, you're out. And I realized I had no passion for that at all. That job is ball busting. Can I say ball busting on your
You can
podcast?
totally say ball
Great.
busting.
Okay, perfect. Fantastic.
So here's a quick question though. What was the biggest transferable skill set for you between enterprise that you were able to take into pharmaceutical sales?
There is and this goes for any sales job, there is a level of self-confidence and fearlessness that you just must have in order to open a conversation. And
Yeah.
even though in enterprise, the customer was coming to you, they were walking through your door. You knew you had to close a sale. But when in pharmaceutical sales, you had to enter doctors' offices and get through the gatekeepers at the front desk. Like the people hated you. Their reputation of pharma reps is gross out here. And I was in Manhattan. It was the hoitiest, toitiest doctor's offices you've ever seen in your life. And in comes Vicki from, Queens. And I'm like, hi, and they're like, oh my God, who are you? So I think the truest skill there is self-confidence and fearlessness to open your mouth. And the opening of the mouth piece is what really stops a lot of people from ever wanting to get into sales. And it actually stops the people from ever succeeding in sales. Because I think if you're even a little bit timid, that piece makes you want to vomit,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would say that for sure. So I got laid off from my pharma job. It was a blessing in disguise. And I found myself in publishing sales. So I sold math and science textbooks to college professors in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area for several years. And I loved that job. I just loved it. There was something about it.
You know why?
Why?
Because you're a nerd. Because you're a nerd. And I say that I'm just like, it takes one to know one, but I'm like, I'm like, are you kidding? That's a dream job. Selling books.
Oh my God, Eleanor. Yes. I had that inner
Right?
nerd in me was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Yeah.
Yes.
And so I remember I had to go talk to organic chemistry professors and talk to them as though I knew what the hell I was talking about, but I had to learn the foundations of each little subject. And I remember learning a little bit about organic chemistry, a little bit about physics, and I was able to converse with these people on a surface level. If they scratched one level, deeper, I'd be like, I don't know what that means, And I loved it for so many reasons. And it was just a different ball game than pharma. And I was there for many years. In 2014, I didn't know I was pregnant, and I started getting just progressively fatter because nobody tells you that the second that you conceive, you can no longer button your pants. And
I just got a butt overnight. It was, I was just like, my husband was like, wow, where did that come from? I'm like, it came from you.
you did this. Okay. Yes.
You did this.
Yes. Yep. I'm like,
It's so true.
I know. And so I literally got pregnant, didn't know I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, I need to lose weight. So I found a weight loss program, and this is part of my story. This is why I'm saying my ride's a little funky, guys. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh yes, I woke up and I was a professional. Okay. So I'm like, all right, I need to lose weight. So I find someone on Facebook, and she is selling a weight loss program. And she's posting all over the place. She was like one of those annoying people. But I saw that all of these people were really transforming. And so I ordered this 30-day system, and then 24 hours later found out that I was pregnant. I was like, oh, that's what's happening.
That's the best thing ever.
That's what's happening. So I call her and I say to her, hi, I have to return everything. I'm not losing weight. I'm pregnant. And she said to me, she asked me the one question I always say forever changed my life, because this was the pivotal transition for me from in-person sales into online sales. She said to me, a perfect stranger, I did not know her from Adam. She said to me, Vicki, just out of curiosity, what are you going to do when the baby's born? Are you planning on going back to work? And I said, yeah, like every other fucking working mother in the world. Yes, that is what I'm planning. And by the way, I just got pregnant. So I don't know, maybe we could talk about this in 9 months. And she planted a seed for me, and she said, I want you to take a look at what I do and how I sell these supplements, and that there's a business opportunity attached to this. And I'm like, uh-oh, is this a pyramid scheme? Okay. I know what this is what I said to myself. And I said to her, and she's like, just take a look. And so I didn't. And so I was like, nope, this is so weird. I can't believe somebody tried to recruit me into their pyramid scheme. This is the conversation I had with her. And then she said to me, after she tried to follow up, she said, do me a favor, talk to this other woman. And this other woman's just like you, Vicki. She curses a lot. She's like a little bit of a dirtbag, but she's like got her shit together. So I feel like you'll really vibe with her. And so I did. And so I said to her, listen, just between me and you, like, what is this all about? And she said, listen, I get it. And I know it sounds weird. And I know it sounds like one of those things. But I want you to just understand that there are women inside of this company that are earning multiple six figures annually selling these supplements and building teams here. And it was my first conversation that opened my eyes to say, okay, maybe someone like me, someone who's a realist, someone who's not a rah-rah BSer, someone who can sell things. I have the skill set of selling. Maybe I can do it different because this is now a multi-level marketing company, and I know that the reputation of those companies is really gross. And I didn't want to be associated with the grossness of it, but there was a little part of me that said, I know I can do it different. And so I decided to step into that whole path in life to see what could happen if I chose to do it different. And in 2014, I started. By 2016, inside of that company, I was close to tripling my corporate income. And I was able to leave and do that full time from 2016, fast forward to recently. And my network marketing / MLM experience taught me everything I needed to know to tee me up to what I do today, which is selling online courses and digital products to people who are looking to learn about online business. Because it was my first toe into that world in a way that I would have never received that experience with any other path other than network marketing. It teaches sales, it teaches team building, it teaches communication for a team, it teaches how to motivate a group of people, it teaches how to not only sell a product but sell a dream, sell a product and sell a vision. It taught me social media skills, right? So I started my social media accounts back in 2014. As it stands today, I'm 11 years in on social media and have now honed skills that brought me to where I am today as a result of starting that 11 years ago.
There's so much I want to dive into here, but I want to start at this place. So you talked about the fact that you needed to cross an internal divide that you had to step into the world of MLM, get over yourself and do that. And the ability to get over yourself, and cross that divide actually opened up a honing of a really valuable skill set. It opened up hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably millions, in earnings, leadership development, marketing skills, sales skills. I wanted to pause here for a moment because I think there's a really important nuance here. So I don't know if you remember the conversation that we had on a call recently. There were a group of us, and somebody was saying that she didn't like she didn't want to experiment with pain-based messaging. She felt it was icky. She felt it was against her values. And I was kind of like, could you just park what you think are your values for a moment and actually test them a little bit? And this is an interesting, right? Because I find that sometimes people use their quote unquote values like a battering ram to basically keep away opportunity. And they never actually test to see, is this an assumption or is it an actual value? Like this has a reputation for being quote unquote icky, but is it actually? Can I test this? Can I see? And I find that unwillingness to test stuff because people have assumptions that they call their values really holds people back in sales and marketing because they never actually get to the front line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it holds them back in business in general because
Right?
the opportunities of lifetimes live behind the mask of this can't be real, or like
Yeah.
this is too good to be true, and all of you just fill in those one
Yeah.
liner things. Yeah, of course. And it requires doing so requires an extraordinary amount of the ability to third party hover over a situation and remain completely unbiased in what your own thoughts and belief systems are, and then see things for exactly what they are. Like, okay, let me remove my own judgment here and take a look to see what's actually the moving parts here. And I think what people are afraid to do is what I said before was, I want to do it different. And everyone's
Yeah.
like, well, in order to succeed, I have to do what the successful people do. And yes, to a degree, like success leaves clues, but success also, and my success has been a direct result of me paving a totally different path than the regular beaten path in the industry that I'm in. And
Yeah.
that's how I've thrived.
So let's talk about that because for our kind of case study today, what we really want to talk about is how you have used talking head videos. So you guys, if you don't know, I'm going to ask you to define what talking head videos are. So there's so many things that there's not just one thing that you've done to create the success that you've had in the business, but that's certainly been a really important tool. So before we get there, let's just briefly take us into just briefly like what's your business model? How long have you been doing this business? What's it called? Like just some of the sort of context so that people will understand where we're going next.
Sure. So my business is now called the Vicki Pollack Course Collection. And so I sell courses, online, digital courses that teach people, depending on where they are on their own journey of online business skills. So I help beginners get started with picking a niche and all of the fun stuff that beginners need to do. And then people a little bit further along on the timeline, which is how do I now sell stuff to people, because that's the monetization strategy of any business, is selling something, right? So I teach that too. And so it's all through digestible, affordable education.
Yeah.
That's my whole shtick.
And when did you start this business? Like, why did you make the decision to leave the world of multi-level marketing and start your own thing?
So
What prompted that?
in 2023, I started seeing all these women on Instagram who were dancing on their kitchen counters, telling everyone, "Look at how much money I'm making." And I'm like, "What the is this?" Okay. Don't forget, Eleanor, like, I am a New Yorker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. So, so I'm always an automatic no until proven otherwise. You know, it's just part of being me.
Listen, you know?
Yeah. And so I saw that and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. This woman living in the middle of Wisconsin is telling me that she earned 100 grand last month selling courses. Like, I didn't even know that that was a thing. I did not know people were sold online courses for a living. And so after I dug and I dug and I judged and I did all the things, I stepped right back into the same mentality that I did when I went into network marketing. And I said, okay, if I had to third party hover around this, what's actually happening here? People are taking education courses and selling them to other people who want to learn online business skills. Like, I watched that model unfold in front of me. Now, when I first started here, the courses that I was selling were other people's courses. And I was either an affiliate for other people's courses, so I was getting a commission every time I sold it, or these courses that I was selling gave me the right to resell them for 100% profit. And so when I started this journey, the real reason was because I saw all these idiots dancing in their kitchens telling me about their money. Like, that was literally the reason. So but then I thought, okay, in true Vicky fashion, this is great to get my feet wet. I can sell other people's stuff. But if I want to build a true empire, if I want to build a deep rooted business into the multi millions annually, it has to be with my own stuff. And so I got my feet wet that way inside of digital product sales, affiliate marketing. And then I transitioned about a year and a half after I started into creating my own product suite, my own offers and my own courses. So that's how I got started doing all of this.
Mm. When you're talking about, it wasn't like this big underlying grand mission in the beginning. It was mostly like these idiots are dancing and making money. What the hell? And it reminds me that so often indignation is one of the most powerful forces driving human behavior. Like, what in the actual hell? What? And that kind of indignation has powered so many of my great moves also. So guys, if you feel indignant about something, pay attention.
Pay attention.
Pay attention. But this is, I think, where your communication skill set comes back because one of the things that I have really observed about you, which I think is I actually think based on what I've observed, I actually think it's like your number one superpower, is your ability to break insight or useful things down into very small, useful, transferable nuggets that meet people where they are. that that's your that was your whatever $250,000 communication degree right there. But of course, you got to combine that with like natural skill and a whole boatload of training after the fact. But that I think is so key, like that ability to be like, what point am I trying to make here? What am I trying to, what piece of knowledge or insight am I trying to transfer? And how do I do that as clearly, as simply, as evocatively as possible?
And that very thing is how I stepped into creating these talking head videos.
Yeah.
And I saw the talking head videos were as a result of two things. Number one, I saw what everyone else was doing in my industry and I took a hard left. And that's how I've built everything. I do that very intentionally, not just because it strategically makes sense, but it's actually who I am as a human being. I'm very much the black sheep of every group I'm in, of my family. It's like how I roll. And so what I'm like, oh, look, an opportunity to stand out by being not only different, but controversially different. And
Yeah.
that's how, that unto itself was how I was able to do it. And so I saw those people doing that, so I did that. And then the second part is I was able to really stand out in my industry, not just by talking head videos, but by telling the truth. And
Mm.
when I first started this whole thing, I saw all of this scammy marketing that was happening. And I was able to say, okay, Vicki, just like network marketing, you can step into something that's existing right now with a crappy reputation and turn it around by being the truth teller. And that was the second thing that I was able to do and accomplish with these talking head videos, because one video accomplishes so much. It accomplishes trust building, authority creation, being able to teach in those digestible ways. And so then it hooks people into wanting more from you, because they automatically say, oh, Vicki can teach that in a succinct 90-second video. I bet, let's see what she can do in her courses. That's a very strategic,
Mm.
intentional move on my part.
Where does that sort of black sheep come from? Like, what's your earliest memory of being a black sheep?
Oh God. Can, grab a coffee.
Yeah.
Well, I was raised in a Greek family, and we're 100% Greek, like Greek. And I was one of four kids. I was the youngest, and my sister was perfect, and my brothers never rocked the boat. And I was like, okay, this is boring, you know? And I always did everything my mother didn't want me to do. I wasn't a rebel in like oh, I drank and like smoke. Like I didn't do
Yeah.
like that rebellious stuff, but like if we were going to church, I was wearing a mini skirt just cuz I knew it pissed off my mother. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I did those moves there, and I think the figure in my life that really was the hardest on me that I rebelled against was my grandmother. I had a very strict grandmother that just wanted me one way, and I said, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it this way." And so that relationship in my life built an outer shell for
Yeah.
me, that is like you're never going to you're never going to see me cry. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can, yeah, like a
Yeah.
strong outer shell. And now, as a 41-year-old woman, I can thank her for that creation.
Yes.
But that's where it comes from. That's where that black sheepness comes from. I just
Ah,
love a bucking of a system.
yeah, totally. And I think that truth telling is very much kind of connected because you have to be willing to stand alone to tell the truth.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about talking head videos. So the first thing that we're going to need everybody to do is to you can pause the podcast now, or you can do it right after, but go to Instagram and go to No BS New Yorker, Vicki Pollack, like go look her up and follow her so that you can start to see what we're talking about. So you've built a really good social platform, and it's also a social platform that converts to money
Yeah.
in the most, and I say that in the most respectful way because I know it's people, but they buy from you. They buy your stuff because they trust you and they like you and all of that kind of thing. So before, and what you've said is, look, talking head videos where I speak and tell the truth and stand out. Like these have been a huge driver of success for me. They've been a really important marketing strategy. So let's start by defining what is a talking head video for folks that might not understand what it is.
Yeah, a talking head video is I take my phone, I prop it up on something, I press record, and I speak to the camera as though I'm being interviewed like this. I speak
Yeah.
on a topic, I give my opinion on something, I give my advice on something, I educate. The topics can be all over the place, but that's just what a talking head video is. It's the videos you see of people talking to their camera.
And then what percent of your content and IG is your channel of choice? You've bucked the trend there where people are like, you shouldn't be dependent on one platform. And you're like, watch me. You know what I mean? You're like building it. So my next question is, what percentage of your content that you produce for IG is talking head style?
So now, as it stands
Yeah.
today, 50.
Okay.
When I was growing my platform and in at the peak of my financial success online, 90.
Okay.
And
Got it.
that's also as a result of algorithm changes,
Yeah.
more people on Instagram, talking head videos now being a huge thing for people.
Yeah.
So now that I see that they're a huger thing, I'm like, okay, what can I do different than talking head videos and still gain the followers and the traction and the sales that I
Yeah.
was getting from those talking head videos. But I built my following, that a loyal community and audience of people through 90% of talking head videos.
What would you say are the kind of three things that you did with your talking head videos that made them so successful? The top three things that people can learn from?
Number one is this one's gonna be very basic. Lighting.
Yeah.
Lighting is important, and people
Yeah.
underestimate it. And I wish it wasn't, because I feel like stuff like that drives me crazy. It's like, get good lighting, okay, but just throw your camera on and talk to it. But also
Yeah.
lighting.
Yeah.
It's,
100%. It makes a huge difference.
yes, it does. It
It
does.
really does.
Like let's just get a ring light. And because if you're
Yeah.
talking to yourself in the dark, everyone's just gonna scroll. And just keep this in mind too, if you're listening to this, like you have 1 nanosecond to gain someone's attention on Instagram. Think about the numb scrolling that you do as a consumer of the information. You have 1 nanosecond. So if someone's dark or like hard to see or like not enjoyable to see, it's out. So that's number one. And with that too is angle. And I think angle has a lot to do with how you come across, in that when you're talking to someone, are you eye level? Are you angled up? Or are you looking down at them? There's some psychology there that speaks to someone indirectly about the angle in which you are speaking to them. My angle tends to be very close to my face. So you're rarely gonna see like a trunk, me with a trunk. It's usually gonna be a whole lot of face, and speaking to them at eye level or a little bit down.
Yeah.
Almost like to give the feeling of like, lean in, let's talk. That's sort of that's the vibe I go for.
Well, this is so fascinating because another person in our community who is like a top level communicator, so she actually trains CEOs of health and science type companies on communication. And I remember for one of our classes, I had my AI camera and it was like higher than my computer, so it was above my eye level. And she's like, Eleanor, can we just please not do that? Okay, it needs to be eye level, or even you're looking down a teeny bit, because she talks about that as kind of a function of authority.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if if we have the nanosecond, if they can't see us, like if your lighting is shite, that's going to impact you. And if you are subtly communicating a lack of authority that humans have, and sort of looking up, because that's what we do when we're kids, or like any of that kind of stuff, they're just not going to, you're sending a signal that the brain can't probably consciously realize is happening, but is actually happening. Like you're doing your message a disservice. So this, guys, is like, it's subtle, but it is really powerful.
Yes. Oh, for sure. It's very powerful. And I think those little things make a difference.
Yeah.
And then the third thing I would say that I do for talking head videos, or that I've done, is I have a powerful, the rebel in me hates to say hook because I think it's so overused. It's like I thought to myself, what would make someone stop and go, oh my God, it's like this girl is in my brain. That was my
Mm.
goal with every talking head video, because if I could say something in the very beginning that also I could duplicate on an on-screen text, like utilizing that on-screen text, so the person's visually reading the thing I'm saying and I'm saying it, it will double solidify that the people who stop to watch that video are my people. And I didn't want anyone else other than my people. Because if I have 100,000 followers, if 90,000 of them aren't my people, what's the point?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all of my hooks were directly correlated to the thoughts that I knew my target audience, and more specifically my ideal client, was thinking. And that's the third.
Tell us about how you, in the course of a typical week, how do you plan for your content? Like, how do you start to think about those hooks? Take us into that process a little bit about the actual decision making around what kind of content you're going to film, how you do it. Is it sort of on a daily basis? Like, how do you actually make your content?
You're gonna you're either gonna love this or hate this, so just get
Mm,
ready.
yeah,
My answer is I
I'm
am
gonna hate it.
you're
No,
gonna
just kidding.
great.
I'm guaranteed. No, just totally kidding. Totally kidding.
I am not a batch content creator. Some content,
Good. Ew, me neither. I
right.
can't.
I'm like, I don't know, my
No
brain
way.
doesn't work like that. I'm a guttural creator.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of my builds here, I was doing things like so I'll can I touch on what I showed on the JBA call about the
Yes.
Google
Yep.
search?
Yep.
Okay.
Do.
So the question becomes, so when you're stepping into social media, you're like, okay, okay, Vicki, great. I get the whole ideal client thing, but how do I know what they're thinking? And a part of you just naturally will, if you're in the right business for you, right? You just naturally will, because you will likely know and have experience inside of your world that you know what they're thinking. But let's say you need more help, and this is what I did in the beginning. You go to Google and you type in just one question that you know they're thinking. Okay, so let's say like in the weight loss space or whatever, like how do I lose weight in 30 days? Let's say that that's a question. You go to Google search and you type it in. Once you hit enter, scroll down a little bit on the page and you're going to find a section that says people also ask. And then you're going to find a whole list of questions that people who Googled that question also asked these questions. And the more and more you click on each of those questions, the more that list expands and expands and expands. And all of a sudden, you now have hundreds of questions that you not only have a feeling that your target audience may be thinking, but you know they are thinking, because statistically speaking, those are the most Googled terms and Googled questions that person has been searching for. And so the way
Mm,
that you can now translate that into content is your hook on screen, the thought that you can begin your talking head video with, is one of those questions or is one of those thoughts. So for example, I know that, well, we'll go with the weight loss thing for a second. If I was like creating a talking head video for someone who wanted to build a business inside of the weight loss space, and I knew that people were Googling, how do I lose weight fast? Which they probably are,
yep.
I would say. Um, I, oh my God, what's been keeping me up at night is how do I lose weight fast? I have a tip for you. Very succinct, very much like, ooh, I was just thinking about this last night. Ooh, it's like this person's in my head. And so
Mm,
that's the structure that you can put to content creation. And when it comes to how do you plan, if you want more of a planned out structure for content creation, there's different things like content calendars, but my
yep.
suggestion is, and this is the way that I've done it, is just commit to one reel every single day and remain consistent for that for at least 60 days straight, to see
Yeah.
what traction that you get, and using that format of
Yes.
thought I know they're thinking, hook on screen, text on screen, me saying the hook, and then continuing the video from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. Really, really good. Um, so I guess the place to there's actually so much to there's so much to kind of unpack, I think, when it comes to um why people feel uncomfortable doing talking head, and why can you just but we don't have tons of time, but I'd love for you to just kind of touch on that, because what was really interesting is like when you did the talk in the JBA, it sort of something really clicked for people. And I started seeing people like you could really see who picked up what you're putting down because their content started popping. You know what I mean? It was awesome. Their content started popping and they were like, but what is it that you know, for people who just feel weird getting in front of the camera, or they feel uncomfortable about it, or they just have this sort of hold up, um, what do you have for them?
Do you know my gut answer was just get over it? Okay.
Mine was too.
Okay, got it. Perfect.
I was like,
I was like,
this is not a safe space, you guys. It's a brave space, not a safe space. No, just kidding.
but like, if we can just break this down for a second, right? People who
Yeah.
listen to your podcast, people who are in your world and in your ecosystem are badass business women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not like worms living inside of a hole that like have nothing to offer the world. They're
Yeah.
people who step into their power inside of a business. They run teams, they run businesses. And part of I believe today in 2025 is you have the tool, the free tool of social media to show up as the voice of authority inside of your industry. Did I mention the free tool that you have
Yeah.
at your disposal in a way that it's unprecedented in any other year, right? Back in 2010, businesses didn't have this at their disposal the way that they do now. And so if you're not utilizing a free tool like that to get your word out there where you're specific, those people that you're looking to talk to are on these tools. It doesn't have to be Instagram. It could be LinkedIn. A lot of your people are LinkedIn people, right? Think
Yeah.
about to yourself, like, where is my demographic? Where are they? Mine is on Instagram. Maybe yours is on LinkedIn, but talking head videos will still make you stand out no matter what platform that you're on. But if to talk to the person that's afraid or shy or not confident to step into showing up on camera, it's probably twofold. Number one is people are like physically, like, I don't feel like I'm attractive enough. I'm making huge air quotes here.
Yeah.
Okay, huge
Yeah.
air quotes. And for that person, your brain just needs evidence that people who look exactly like you are currently showing up fearlessly online. So if your goal is to do this and to really show up as the voice of authority through talking head videos, take 30 minutes and scroll through Instagram and look at the people that are showing up, showing their faces, showing their voices, showing up with authority, because I can guarantee you a lot of them look exactly like you look.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing is I don't care what business you're in, you're the owner of it, you're the creator of it. The faster you can tell the world that you are the go-to person for fill in the blank for your business, the faster your business will grow. That's just the direct correlation. And utilizing a free tool like social media is a no-brainer for that. Did I mention it's free? I don't know if anybody's mentioned it's free. Yeah.
AKA, and that brings to the conclusion our two-part framework for get over it.
If I want to be nicer about it, those other answers are the answer. But if not, that's the answer.
Oh, Vicky. Okay. So let's break it down for folks who are really kind of intrigued by what they're hearing. So we said, yeah, definitely go follow Vicky on IG. But, you know, I actually encourage people like take the courses. Like even I actually think even if you're like an advanced entrepreneur, but you want to, I think so much of what you talk about is actually really important fundamentals that can help people communicate more clearly. And selling is about clear communication at the end of the day. So like where can they go to learn more about you, to learn more about your product, your courses, etc.? What's their best step? Is it IG?
Yeah, so it's Instagram. So at the No BS New Yorker with underscores underneath each word. And then my website is vickipollack.com. It's VICKIPOLLACK. And if if they feel like, oh, I want to learn a little bit more about the foundations of how to show up on social media, I actually have a master class called Be a Better Social Media Presence. And I think it's like, I don't know, $20. I don't even remember what I charge for it now, but
Yeah.
it's a 90-minute or 75-minute masterclass, and it really teaches all this stuff, including talking head videos. So if it is something that they're looking for, like a
Yeah.
really quick foundation for that, that's a good place to start.
That's an excellent place to start.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much. You're the best. So fun.
Ditto.
So
Oh
fun.
my God.
Yeah, this was a great conversation. Thanks for bringing so much value.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Are you kidding? This is so much fun. Can we do this for another 6 hours or no? You're busy. Okay, you're busy.
But listen,